Hey everyone, and welcome back to my completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS. And before we move on to the next level, I just wanted to mention something about our fight with the Rook Transmuter from the last episode, because I was just thinking about what I could have done better in order to make the fight progress more smoothly. And my first instinct was that I should have pre-buffed with Minor Globe of Invulnerability, but actually that wouldn't have mattered, because it would have gotten dispelled by the Transmuter's Spell Thrust, together with all of the other spell protections that Senashira had. So she would have gotten webbed anyway. And basically I think what I should have done was just move in with all of my other characters once he cast that Chaos on Keldorn, because I think at that point a lot of his most dangerous spells were already used. And by just moving in with all of our damage, I think we could have put enough pressure on him to keep cutting through his stone skins and to deal with him much better than just what I ended up doing, which was basically just continuing to solo the encounter with Senashira. I think moving in at that point would have worked much better. But anyway, in this episode we have a new set of challenges ahead of us. So here I'm just going to buff up Senashira's armor class, and after rearranging a little bit here, we are going to release our familiar so that it can make all of us invisible, just so that we can make kind of a clean entrance to the next room. There's going to be an ambush that you're kind of supposed to get caught off guard by that, and I'm just going to make Jaheira visible here. And that's because, well, let's just move in and you're going to see the situation. So here we have a situation where we have two groups of orcs that can shoot arrows at us, and Jaheira has, great armor class. She shouldn't be really bothered by their shots. And the thing is that we have to detect two hidden doors to both of these areas, and then these doors are also locked. So once Kiranai unlocks the doors, she's going to become visible as well. And basically I want to have another target for them to focus on, so that Kiranai doesn't receive too much damage. Alright. And now we're cool, we can go in and destroy them.
Amongst the righteous. If it must retreat or fall before me.
And this is, at this point we wouldn't really be bothered by their shots. Even Edwin could take a couple of shots potentially, but I just kind of wanted to make a clean entrance here. And I guess we can take some of their fire arrows that they have left behind.
Yes? If that's what you want.
Alright, now we can talk to our familiar. I didn't do that before because that would have made Senashira visible. Oh. Let's just position him accordingly in our inventory. Because you cannot move him like an item, so he has to just, get picked up in the right spot. Anyway, in the next room here there's going to be a group of golems, and I don't think I'm going to buff up yet. We could haste ourselves to negate their slow, which would be nice, but I don't think they're going to be that big of a problem anyway. And I would like to save my haste spells for a little bit later. Okay, you have two sets of mirror images, one stone skin. I think I need to hold on to those for an encounter soon. So I think we're just going to lure them in with Jaheira, and hopefully they're not going to pay too much attention to Senashira here. So a standard group of one Juggernaut Golem and two Stone Golems. Let's just try to kill the Juggernaut Golem, although we're going to throw the daggers at Stone Golems because of the Juggernaut Golem's resistances. Alright, cool. Yeah, that isn't a big problem, even though now we are slowed. And I think I'm going to wait out this slow, although Senashira isn't slowed, so that's nice. we don't have to wait out slow then, because all we need is Senashira in the next room here. There's going to be both this passage and this one will lead to some humor. So here we have Derg the Orc. He's pretty funny. Me sorry, don't kill. Me just following orders. Didn't want to eat children or kick old people. Just job. and if you tell him to flee here and never harm another, he's going to be like, thank you, thank you. I promising no more killings here. Not as job anyway. Maybe hobby. That okay, I think. Well, I don't think this is okay. So I am going to just get rid of you like that. And here's another funny guy. No kill. Oh, don't beg. Begging just makes me ill. I beg. Let me go live. He doesn't have anything particularly funny to say, so Senashira is orc stomping, and no one is going to get in her way. Oh. Oh no, that cannot be, man. We can't let him go away. Senashira, come on. You need to not miss. Okay. Almost let him go away, man, or get away from that situation.
What is it with all speed, comrade? I shall go for honor.
Right, that slow is pretty annoying. It's not too important to let it like expire, but I think we are very close to regaining our normal speed. So let's go into this situation. And here we meet a troll cook. Hello there, foot thing. You are just in time. Please just jump onto the grill over there. The grill, the big metal thing. Jump on. Be careful, it's hot. It's very funny when you go to talk to him. Apparently he received some good education. But he doesn't like the orcs too much, and especially Chief Digdag, who apparently sometimes cuts his fingers, because, you know, trolls regenerate, so I guess that's a source of free food, apparently, free sausages. But anyway, at this point, if we had already killed Chief Digdag, which is much further in the dungeon, so you would have to kind of purposefully not come into this room, but progress to the way to the north, kind of to the end of the dungeon. You would be able to inform him that Chief Digdag is already dead, and then that would make him very happy, and he would say that he's free, and he would just leave. But we don't want him to leave anyway. So, yeah, his fingers grow back. We just want to just progress the conversation normally so it ends up in a fight. Jeez, it's impossible to get good help nowadays. If you're not on the grill, how am I going to cook you? I don't want to be cooked. Then why did you apply for the job? Right, so he summons some hobgoblins from the other room.
Yes.
And I think Edwin is going to just throw a little fireball in there to soften them up.
What is it?
We actually have a hobgoblin wizard. You probably wouldn't think that that kind of a thing was even possible. But apparently there are some hobgoblin wizards out there. You know, it's really troublesome, like, getting to him.
I'm busy, okay? I'm busy.
Let's protect ourselves against the fear here. Yeah, that's what happens when you get a little bit too lazy with these opponents. They are going to make you pay for it. And it was kind of that way with the Rook Transmuter as well, you know? Once you have a chink in your armor, the SCS opponents are going to exploit that. I'm just... oh, Jahira, stop. I'm critically missing all the time. I'm just going to use her because she has a very good armor class. She shouldn't get hit and, you know, slowed by that Otyug. Okay, nice mislead scroll. It's very nice.
Yes.
Alright.
What is it?
Senashira has sustained some damage, I see. Here we're going to have a little cookbook, which is not going to have any like specific recipes. We're going to get more of that a little bit later, but from it we can get some clues. There is a general kind of, I guess, recipe about cooking. Yeah, when the oil is hot, toss in the elk feces, then pour in horse urine. Can you smell great food already? Anyway, there are a couple of clues. Apparently there are some genies in the tomb, wolfmen in the west, and there's also apparently an air monster in the well guarding some treasure. So those are some pretty relevant clues. But other than that, we're free to go.
Yes?
Let's just heal Seneshira.
It is done. Speak.
And I think there might be another group, of orcs in here.
What is it?
You know what, let's give them a little again as our scorcher.
It will be done.
Just kind of soften them up a little bit like that.
Nature's servant.
Point the sword.
And just use ranged weapons over here,
I pledge my
so that we don't get damaged by our own thing.
I hear you well enough. Duty calls.
Speak.
Thy helm guides
Yes,
my
sir.
path.
You will fall by my hand. What he best.
Alright, and now basically we're approaching a really tough fight where I actually expect to die if things don't go too well. Because there is a really nasty group of undead very close, and there was a bit of lag because they just spawned, I guess.
Speak.
And their SCS scripts had to load. And basically there's going to be a really high level and big group of undead over to the east somewhere there. And they are going to consist of a couple of vampires of very special types. There are going to be some elder vampires and some ancient vampires. And they are basically like higher level vampires that are not going to be susceptible to our turn undead, and they're not going to die outright to Sunray, most likely, from Daystar, which we are going to use, because there's going to be like mummies and other stuff in there. So we're going to start up with some Daystar cleanup, but then we are going to have to deal with them the hard way. And Seneshira still has some buffs, still has her chaotic commands, and she's our only, we only have that Amulet of Power, which we could give to pretty much anyone to get permanently protected from level drain, because these vampires have some nasty level drain. The ancient vampires are the biggest problem in general, and I think they drain 4 levels per hit, whereas the elder vampires I think drain 2 or 3. So basically going in there with anyone that's not protected against level drain is completely out of the question. And we only have one person that's permanently protected against that. And there are basically 2 strategies. One of them is to go in solo, and the other one that I find unacceptable, but it is kind of an idea, is to give the Amulet of Power to someone else, like for example Keldorn, who could wield the Daystar pretty effectively. Give him the Amulet of Power so that he's protected against level drain, and then rely on like protection from magical weapons, for example on Seneshira. She has one use of that only though. Or we could also, if we had memorized some negative plane protection, we could have buffed up someone with that. But the problem with these spells is that protection from magical weapons only lasts for 4 rounds, and the negative plane protection only lasts for 5 rounds. So they are basically, it's unfeasible to have someone really protected in that fight, because it's going to last for way longer than that. And I think we are even going to move everyone else back there. And basically our idea of doing that is going to be going in solo with Seneshira. For a couple of reasons. She's going to be able to cast some useful spells in there. And the big problem is that, the elder vampires shouldn't be a big problem, because they are susceptible to +2 weapons. So our Grand Mastery and Warhammers, with Ashidina, Seneshira should be able to bring them down pretty quickly. However, the ancient vampires require at least a level 3 or a +3 enchanted weapon. So we are going to have to rely on Daystar on Seneshira, and she is not protected, not proficient with longswords yet. I think later on we might put some points into that. But she's not proficient in that, and she's not going to be able to have that many attacks, and her Thaco is going to be worse. And all of that is going to be important, because the Ancient Vampire also have some pretty good regeneration. They have good stats in general, a lot of hit points, and all of their annoying abilities, like they can shapeshift into a bat and all that. And also, I think both the Elder Vampires and the Ancient Vampires are technically fighter thieves that can make themselves invisible, actually at will, and they can backstab for ×4. I think they can do quadruple damage backstabs. So all in all, this is just going to be a really tough fight, and we're going to have to protect ourselves pretty meticulously here. I think that's the right word.
Yes? Yes?
or I should say diligently. We're going to have to do some pre-buffs. First I'm going to pre-buff her constitution because of course they have that drink blood ability in SCS where they can drain constitution and they can drain a lot. Next up we're going to give her a potion of fire resistance because we're going to have some tactics in mind for that. Alright, she has spirit armor. We're going to give her stone skin here. This is going to take a little while. We're going to give her blur, and I think Anomen also is going to be a little part of this encounter, so let's just give him chaotic commands so he doesn't get dominated. Alright. Now we're going to give her some mirror images. And we are also going to give her the fire shield from this staff.
What is it?
So that with the potion and the fire shield she has now 100 fire resistance. And we want to have as many attacks as possible in that situation. And she is also going to cast True Sight already. Because, like I said, a lot of these vampires can just become invisible and try to backstab and just be annoying. So we're going to use that. And I think Anomen is going to cast Sanctuary on himself. And here we are also going to bust out our secret weapon, which is Improved Haste. And Edwin is going to cast that on Senashira. Now, Improved Haste is a very powerful spell that I will generally hold off still from using, but basically what it does is that it doubles our attack. So Senashira, like I said, you know, bringing down these ancient vampires with our damage, with someone like a Kensai mage that's not proficient in the weapon that they're using, is really, really difficult because of their regeneration and their assortment of annoying abilities. But with Improved Haste, she should be able to dish out you know, way more damage, because her attacks, instead of going up to, she has like 3.5. So with normal haste, they would go up to 4 with Daystar. But with Improved Haste, they're going to go up to 7. And with Ashidina, she is going to have 9 attacks. So that is going to make a big, big difference. So please cast that, Edwin. Alright, Anomen already started going in there.
Without hesitation.
I'm going to position Anomen about there. Do you have that? Okay, you don't have True Sight. Cast that now then. Okay, and here we go in. So as you can see, there are some mummies, some ghasts, and a bunch of these vampires. A lot of them are elder vampires, and some of them are ancient vampires. I think there are 2 or 3 of these ancient ones. Yeah, 3 ancient and 3 elder. Alright, so we're going to go right in the middle and unleash Sunray upon them. And Anomen is going to stay back and throw in a little firestorm for them. Alright, so Sunray got rid of a lot of the mummies, and I think some of the elder vampires might have died. Even one ancient vampire died, which is super good. That is super good. Alright, so who do we have here? We have an ancient vampire that's barely injured. We have some gaseous forms. They are of course going to summon like some rats and whatnot. Alright, I think we were like extremely lucky with our Sunray. And just from the experience amounts, yeah, I think there's only going to be one ancient vampire for us to deal with. That's going to be super lucky. Okay, no, there's of course another one. Yeah, they are going to shapeshift into bat. They're going to summon their like rats and whatnot. We're going to deal with some invaders here. Alright, Anomen cast his stuff, and he needs to get the hell away from there. So when they go invisible or shapeshift into bats and fly around and stuff like that, they're not going to want to target him. Alright, one of these guys is near death. Now this firestorm should help quite a bit. because vampires have no fire resistance. Alright, there comes some like dread wolves and stuff that doesn't really matter all that much. Let's also help ourselves with some Aganazar Scorcher. Did that even hit? She did not cast that, I think. I moved too quickly. Alright, now Senashira deals fire damage as well. Some of her constitution was drained. Now here we have that ancient vampire in bat form, I think, so let's just focus on this one. And with her 7 attacks with Daystar, she should be able to dish out enough damage. Guys. Alright, so one of these ancient vampires is now down, and there's another one. Alright, it's there. So let's change her script to standard attack, because normally we cannot target them in bat form. And hopefully this is going to work. I hate this bat form, man. Alright, you get inside, guys, and close the door. Alright, she's still getting attacked, of course, by that bat. Alright, finally, the last bit of damage was dealt. Alright, so I think we were extremely lucky with our Sunray that got rid of all of the Elder Vampires and one of the Ancient Vampires. So we effectively only had to deal with 2 Ancient Vampires. But, you know, depending on how this Sunray works, sometimes you have all 3 Ancients still alive and like 1 or 2 Elders, and some mummies still can sometimes survive. So we have to kind of get rid of all that stuff. Because the mummies, of course, can disease. The giant rats can also disease you, and that can interrupt your spellcasting, for example. And then when you have 3 of these ancient vampires going invisible, trying to backstab you, shapeshifting into bats and all that, it's just really annoying. Alright, but actually the way it worked for us was just super good. I am very pleased with that. And the legacy continues of me hyping up some encounters and them being very easy. I think I need to do that. I need to do that like on purpose, you know, like whenever there's an encounter that I kind of fear, encounter being like very tough, I should be like, yeah, guys, totally, I'm going to get completely messed up there. Alright, there are some wraiths, greater wraiths, and I think to be safe, I'm going to switch to Arbane Sword. We have a lot of damage. And we can damage most of them with Eshidina, actually. Alright, we can get rid of this shadow. Alright, cool. So here we have a key that we need. And here we have some goodies.
Speak without hesitation.
Alright. I am pleased at how everything turned out. Alright, and I think our improved haste, yeah, expired just in time. Alright, so some of these giant rats are still there. You know, when they get summoned, they kind of get summoned a little all over the place. So here we meet Samia, who is going to claim that she is a researcher on an expedition here. And she was not aware of another expedition, apparently. We know nothing of this. So she was approached by Firkraag, also. But apparently refused his sponsorship. But anyway, apparently she doesn't have any support here, and she cannot breach the tomb of King Strohm III of Tethir. Apparently he's been buried here, but there are some magics warding off the area, and she has the key that is going to allow us to proceed. But yeah, there's basically going to be a system in there with 6 guardians whom we're going to have to defeat. Yeah, she says that she's going to compensate us. Yeah, the tomb contains 7 guardians. We basically have to defeat 6, assemble a certain mask to be even able to see the 7th Guardian, and then we're going to be able to proceed to the tomb. Yeah, she mentions that there might be some clues, some texts.
Will not take long.
Right, the other rat disappeared somewhere. And here there's going to be a lot of fake doors that are trapped. So for us they're going to be a nice source of a little bit of experience.
If it must be
Yeah,
done.
you can open them, they lead to nowhere.
Of course, what it will be done.
And we're basically going to go with... okay, there it is. There's the rat.
Be certain.
We're going to go with Senashira and with
By my hand.
Kirinai. And since we have, I think, a lot of these protection from fire scrolls, this one just... okay, this one lasts 1 turn per level, and this is going to be perfect. We don't need to use our green scrolls, although there's not that much of a difference here. Although actually... okay, there's not going to be much of a difference. Anyway, we want Senashira to be immune to fire again. And we don't need the fire shield anymore. The fire shield I wanted also because it's could help us a little bit with you know, returning the damage that to the vampires that hit us. But now we're going to be basically facing off against some Ifriti,
Yeah, direct.
and fire shield wouldn't be that useful. And of course it lasts for a while, for much shorter. Alright, so basically we're going to have Kirinai and Senashira. Both of these doors are actually
What is it? It will be done.
good doors.
Speed, certainly.
Alright, so here, as always, feel free to pause and read for yourself. Basically, these guardians are going to mention the year of the burning sky. And they're going to, in a pretty cryptic way, mention... well, we can also switch back to our usual script. They're going to reference some scaly opponents. Okay, I didn't want that to happen. So the Ifriti can go invisible,
Yeah, without doubt.
and they have their fire shield and they have their fire spells. So of course Senashira, who is immune to fire, can just solo them no problem. Okay, plenty of these rats here.
Time.
Right, what I'm going to do is just throw in a fireball to quickly get rid of them. Apparently not all of them.
Will fall by my hand.
But yeah, there's going to be 5 more of them, and each one of them is going to have something interesting to say, or most of them are going to be able to give us some clues.
Work quickly and precisely.
There's one trapdoor here. I think it's this one. Yeah.
Speed without hesitation.
Yeah, this one is locked.
Yeah, this will
Alright,
not
so let's
take
do the
long.
guardians first. Yeah, basically they're going to say that there was a war. I kind of have trouble finishing the whole, like, thought process here, the thing I wanted to say about these guardians. So apparently there was a great war back in the day. They are going to mention drow, and I didn't pick up part of the helmet there. Kind of all over the place, you know, with how I'm doing this. Because I don't want it to take too long, but I also want to be pretty, like, comprehensive. Anyway, there's going to be 6 parts of this mask that we have to assemble here. And these guardians are going to mention a war with the drow. And apparently the drow called in some reinforcements. They're going to mention fire, basically, and going to mention essentially a red dragon. They're not going to say it outright, but they're going to say something about, like, red being called just red, and like coming from the skies and whatnot, if I remember correctly. Okay, we have some space, but let's make some more.
Could we not have hired some poor fools to do this for us? This is no place for a man of my stature.
Just a little while longer. Yeah, many a drow did fall in the cleansing, but Red came, a wing to their call and their aid. Burned the sky with rage and fire until plucked from the air by the hand of a king. He saw the weak and scarred underbelly. He saw the path to the source of the fire. Yeah, so those are some relevant clues as to what we might find here in this dungeon later on. Okay, also... Okay, our spirit armor faded here. Now we're going to buff up with our globe of invulnerability. I think this should protect us from most stuff. And I'm not sure if I want to use a spell immunity here or spell shield might be nice. We're going to meet a special type of beholder that has a completely different set of abilities. He has mostly damaging spells, and he also has a spell that drains levels. So Senashira is going to be protected nicely against most of his stuff. I think that Enervation ability actually drains levels. And then he just has kind of damaging spells. He has Cone of Cold, he has like magic missiles and stuff like that. So we should be able to be protected against most of that stuff. He's called a Director. Alright, and there is going to be one more Guardian.
Of course. Yes, certainly.
Yeah, so the flames did take King Strohm III, I guess. And he mentions having the Eye of the King, so basically that's what the mask is for. Like I mentioned, we need the whole mask assembled to be able to see the final Guardian. Alright, now it is assembled. There it is. And this is actually a really notable item, but we have to put it on. And now this Guardian, the last one, is going to materialize, I guess, before our eyes, and we can get rid of him. And now we can bring everybody else here. I'm just going to teleport everyone here. And this helm is really cool because anyone can put it on, anyone can wear it. And although it doesn't say directly, it still protects from being critically hit. So in a situation like ours, for example, where Edwin doesn't have anything on his head that would protect him from critical hits, he can wear this. Although, of course, its quest use is already... it's not useful to us anymore for the quest because we have already, revealed this Guardian, and we could just basically throw the mask away. But it's still going to be useful for characters that can't wear normal helmets, and if we don't have enough Iron Stones yet to protect from critical hits. Oh yeah, and there was this book of King Strohm that basically mentioned how this how this tomb was protected. I should have showed this a little bit earlier, but we don't need it anymore. Yes. Alright, and we're going to prepare for what comes next here as we end this episode. And I guess more of the Windspear Hills dungeon is going to come in the next part of our playthrough. So for now, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next time.